Ladies and gentlemen, prepare to have your minds blown. Today, we're diving into the dark and mysterious world of witches. But hold on, forget the broomsticks and pointy hats. We're here to debunk the top 5 myths about witches that have been haunting us for centuries. Before we start, subscribe so you never miss any witchy wisdom. First up, the myth of the Wicked Witch. Picture this, a cackling hag stirring a bubbling cauldron. Well, surprise! Most accused witches were actually just misunderstood healers and herbalists. Imagine the shock when you realize they were the original pharmacists. Next up, the myth that all witches are women. Not so fast, men can be witches too. Witchcraft isn't tied to gender. It's a practice, not a pronoun. Throughout history, men have practiced magic under many names: sorcerers, cunning men, warlocks, though that term's a bit controversial, and simply, witches. The stereotype of the witch as an old woman with warts and a cackle was largely a product of misogynistic fear. But the truth is, magical practice has always been open to anyone brave enough to work with the unseen. The infamous black cat and witch combo, misconception number 3. And it's one of the most persistent, thanks to centuries of fear-mongering, superstition, and a generous helping of Halloween marketing. Historically, black cats have been considered sacred, mystical, and protective long before they were ever vilified. In ancient Egypt, cats of all colors were revered, black ones included. The goddess Bastet, who protected the home and symbolized fertility and grace, was often depicted as a lioness or a domestic cat. Harming a cat in ancient Egypt, that was asking for divine retribution. The sinister reputation of black cats didn't slink in until the Middle Ages, when Christian Europe started spinning anything mysterious into something monstrous. Women who lived alone, especially those who kept cats as companions, as you do when you're trying to keep mice out of your food stores, were painted with a broad and shadowy brush. Their independence and knowledge of herbal remedies made them targets, and their feline companions? Guilty by association. Black cats, with their silent steps and glowing eyes, became scapegoats, literally, accused of being witches' familiars, demonic entities in disguise, or even shape-shifted witches themselves. The fear escalated into cruelty. In some parts of Europe, black cats were hunted and killed alongside those accused of witchcraft. Ironically, these superstitions may have contributed to the rise of plague outbreaks. The fewer cats, the more rats. But here's the truth. Witches weren't summoning devils through their cats. They were just people, mostly women, who understood the natural world, lived on the edges of society, and liked having a warm, purring friend nearby. Cats of any color are natural allies to the magically inclined because they're intuitive, fiercely independent, and excellent at sensing energy shifts. A black cat wasn't a bad omen. It was often the most magical protector in the house. So if a black cat crosses your path, consider it a blessing. They're not a warning sign from the underworld. They're a furry reminder that truth, like a cat, doesn't care what nonsense people believe about it. It just is. And if you're a modern witch, you'll know that any cat, black, white, tortoiseshell, tabby, is a creature of mystery and magic just like you. Moving on, let's talk about the infamous witch's mark. Yes, that so-called devil's mark that sent countless innocent people to trial and torture. Are you ready for the shocking truth? More often than not, these alleged signs of unholy allegiance were nothing more than moles, freckles, skin tags, or birthmarks, completely natural features that every human body has. Witch hunters, driven by fear and superstition, would inspect victims' bodies for hours, pricking and prodding in search of any blemish they could twist into evidence. In reality, these marks were not portals to demonic pacts, but the cruel excuse used to justify persecution and maintain control. Finally, we arrive at the last, and perhaps most tired misconception on this magical myth parade: that witchcraft is a thing of the past. Let's be honest, this belief is more dust-covered than a forgotten grimoire in a Victorian attic. It's the idea that witches are the stuff of legends, history books, or museum exhibits. That magic belonged to another age, before logic and science supposedly lit up the darkness. That witchcraft is a quaint relic, buried alongside folklore and fables, no longer relevant in our modern, data-driven world. Oh, how utterly and deliciously wrong that is. Witchcraft isn't dead. It's thriving. Vibrantly, defiantly, and globally. In fact, we're living through what many are calling a witchcraft renaissance. Far from fading into the fog of history, witchcraft has woven itself into the digital age with glittering threads of tarot TikToks, moon phase reminders on apps, YouTube spell tutorials, Etsy shops brimming with handcrafted ritual tools, and Discord covens that span continents. It's less broomsticks and more broadband these days, and that doesn't make it less magical. It just makes it modern. But don't be fooled. This isn't just a passing aesthetic trend or another filter for your selfies. The resurgence of witchcraft is rooted in something deeper. The human need to connect with the unseen, to reclaim personal power, and to find meaning in a world that often tries to strip it away. Witchcraft today is a fierce living force of spiritual autonomy. It's about crafting your reality, communing with nature, honoring the cycles of life, and refusing to outsource your sacredness to someone else's doctrine. Modern witches are environmentalists, activists, healers, artists, therapists, herbalists, coders, and parents. They come from every walk of life, every gender, every culture. They practice in city apartments and forest cabins, in churches and by candlelight, in whispered prayers and ecstatic drumming. Some follow old traditions passed down through bloodlines. Others blaze new paths, weaving ancient knowledge with modern insight. And they're not hiding anymore. Witchcraft isn't just alive, it's loud, proud, and out in the open. And let's not forget, calling witchcraft a thing of the past conveniently erases the very real oppression and persecution that still exists. In some parts of the world, people are still being accused, ostracized, or harmed under the label of witch. And in other places, witches are rising, demanding justice, protecting the earth, educating others, and taking back their stories from centuries of slander. So, no, witchcraft didn't die out with the Salem trials or vanish after the burning times. It didn't get buried with the bones of the wise women silenced by fear. It adapted, it evolved. It grew quieter for a time, like seeds beneath the soil. And now it's blooming again, wild, radiant, and rooted. Witchcraft is not history, it's legacy, it's living practice. It's the voice in the wind, the fire in your gut, the knowing in your bones. And it's not going anywhere. And this channel is not going to disappear. So subscribe and like for more daily magical and knowledge. Blessed be.